let's jump into this today, and I want to really talk about the overcome, right? The overcome. Yesterday, what we was talking about, not yet, not yet, and people asked me, they said, Pierre, like you're like not yet, but when? You know what I mean? Like I'm going through this and I'm going through that, and all of these things that you're dealing with. But I want to be very clear here, right? As a student, as an adult, doesn't matter where you are, right? But I want you to think as a student, and I want you to be honest with yourself, right? Be honest with you. Because when you're honest with you, things work out better. So ask yourself, what have I, right? Think of a time that you had to overcome something. You had a challenge that you was facing and you had to overcome that challenge. I want you to think about it. And the reason I want you to think about that is because as you're going through something, you always say to yourself like, yo, this is the worst time ever, right? This is the worst time of my life. I don't understand this and I don't understand that. Why do I have to go through all of this? This is the worst time of my life. Listen, let's be clear. You don't have a right. You can do what you want, right? But you can't have everything that happens to you be the worst time in your life. It can't. Right? It cannot be the worst time. Like you're 16, 17, 18, maybe 15, 16, 17, 18, right? And you're talking about the worst time in your life. Think about this. If you think that at 15, 16, 17, 18, you're in the worst time of your life, what about the rest of your life? Like you got a whole life to live. You think you're not going to have any moments that are worse than that. This is what I want you to do. I want you to pick a time that you consider to be your worst time. And I want you to run with that, right? What do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. When I was 18 years old, I watched my cousin laid out unalived, right? I seen that. I seen him lay there. And at that moment, right? At that moment, I said to myself, yo, I'm going to take this as the worst time of my life. There will never be another time worse than this. Why did I do that? Because I found myself always saying before that, man, this is the worst thing ever. How am I going to get out of this? It gets no worse. This is the worst. Listen, you're in high school. You're in high school right now, right? I want you to pick a time. What is that time? That's the worst. So when something happens to you from this point on, you overcame what you already considered to be the worst. So when I seen my cousin laid out, no matter what happens to me right now, no matter what I'm going through mentally, emotionally, physically, I know how that tore me apart. I know how that made me feel. So when I'm faced with a challenge, I'm like, yo, I done been through that. It gets no worse than that, right? I can't keep having worst times ever because what I found myself doing is keep going down in the slumps. So I want you to think of a time where you had to overcome. You had to overcome a challenge that you thought you would never make it past, right? And I want you to ask yourself, yo, how did I make it? How did I make it past this? How did I get from where I was when I considered it to be the worst time ever, and I'm still here? I'm still going. I'm still succeeding. I'm still winning, right? I still have hope. I still have opportunity. Because what happens is if we don't, and we keep looking at everything as being the worst time we ever had to face. When do you give yourself a break? When do you give yourself a chance to excel? When do you give yourself a chance to grow? Okay? You're in high school. I see people all the time in high school and be like, oh my God, me and my boyfriend, me and my girlfriend, we broke up. How am I going to live? How am I going to get past this? And then it'd be like 3 weeks later, a month later, and you back to life. You back to living. You back to doing what you're doing. Like you got past that. In the moment, you was hurting. In the moment, you was feeling like, man, I'm never going to be better. That moment of madness does not determine where you end up. So I want you to pick the one time, right? The one time that was considered to be the hardest moment. And I want you to figure out how you got beyond that moment. And now that becomes the road that you take when the next thing comes up, when that next challenge, when that next test comes up. You are going to be tested every single day. You cannot say every single day or every single time that it's your worst moment ever. Okay? I want you to challenge yourself to do that. Are you up for it? Are you up for that challenge. And what it does for you at that point, you start to feel like, if I made it through that, I could get through this. And then something else comes up. And you're like, yo, if I made it through that, I could get through this. And now your belief system starts to shift. And no longer are you focused on what happened or what's happening. You're focused on the time where you didn't think you was going to make it, but you made it. The time you didn't think that life was worth it, but you made it. You understand? So again, and I tell you every single time, I'm not talking to you from a place of, I never been there. I'm not talking to you from a place of everything's just been, happy-go-lucky. It hasn't. I done been homeless. I done had thoughts of not being here. I done dealt with so many mental and emotional and abusive types of activities, right? But I'm here. That's why, for me, talking to you, a high school student, is huge, because I know what I was going through as a student. I know what I was going through after being a student, right? After being a high school student, I know how the pain of the high school years was still following me, and I didn't know how to get away from it. I didn't know how to let that pain go. So at 18, when I watched that happen with my cousin, for me, I said I cannot have an excuse to not move forward. I cannot have an excuse to not get past whatever challenges I faced. And that's why I picked the moment, one moment, that was the worst moment of my life, right? Now, I had other moments that I could have picked, but I had to pick one. I could have said, yep, my great-grandmother, when my great-grandmother's last days came, that really spun me out of control. But I was young. I was 9 years old, right? I knew what happened, but I couldn't comprehend the whole thing of it. Was it troublesome? Absolutely. Was it more painful than seeing what happened to my cousin? Yeah, probably. I know it was. It affected me in a different way. But when it happened to my cousin, I was 18. I can recall every part of the moment. And because I can record it all, I remember all of it, right? I picked that time. Because I know what led up to it. I know when I got out of it. And I know how I got out of it. As a young kid, I don't have all of that information, right? I can't recall all of it. So as a high school student, I promise you, it's not easy. It's not meant to be easy, but you are built to overcome it. You are built to look at whatever challenge you're facing, whatever challenge you consider to be hard, whatever challenge you're facing that says, man, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. I don't know if showing up to school every day is worth it. The challenges that you're facing right now, do I go ahead and focus on me, or do I go ahead and hang out with all the knuckleheads? Do I do what it is that's going to get me closer to what I want in my life, or do I do all of the things that are easy right now? Let's be clear. If you live easy now, you live hard later. If you get lost to a moment of madness now, you will live in a moment of madness for the rest of your life. Do you know how many people I know that are still suffering because of a moment of madness? Do you know how many people in the world are suffering because of a moment of madness? 1 second decision changed their life for the rest of their life? See, we don't see that then. When we're in the moment, we don't see it. So it allows all the outside noise to force us to make decisions that make no sense. What I'm saying to you is, I want you to focus on you. I want you to find that one hard time, whatever that is. I want you to find that one thing you didn't think you was going to make it out of. I want you to find that one thing that brought you so much pain. I want you to find that one thing where you couldn't think clear. I want you to find it. And when you find it, I want you to start to recall what it felt like in the moment, what it started to ease into, and where you are right now. Right now, that moment from a year ago, that moment from last week, it don't even affect you. But in the moment, it was the worst moment. I hope you get it. Because this will change your life. Or it will change your life. What do I mean? If you get it, and you lock into the one thing that creates the pain that you never thought you would get out of, but you did, and you use that formula to keep getting out of it, to keep getting out of it, to keep you moving forward, your life will change for the better. If you decide that you don't want to pick that one moment and you want to keep having the worst moments of your life, you will find that you will have the worst moments of your life for the rest of your life. You understand? When you start to think about it like this, things change. Now, I want to be very clear. When we have these conversations every morning, I am not here to motivate you about anything, right? There's no motivation. I don't want to motivate you for anything. I want you to start to think differently. When you think differently, the results become different. When you think the way you always thought, your results get worse. They don't stay the same, okay? There's no in between here. Watch this. You're either moving backwards or you're moving forward. You're never just sitting still. If you're sitting still, the world around you is moving, which is pushing you back. When you stay pushing, you're either, you could be keeping up or you could be outpacing. I hope you get that, right? I hope you get it because it's huge. So what I want you to do is I want you to start to think about it as it's a value proposition for yourself, right? Value proposition. If I start to think about a time that was the worst moment in my life and I never become a victim to myself anymore about something being the worst thing that ever happened to me and not being able to see my way out of it, if I start to think a little different and I create that value proposition with myself, what would it look like? What would it look like? What would my life look like later? This is how I'm looking at it all the time. So yes, you're going through high school, you're going through some pain. I don't know what it is. Maybe you don't feel like you're as smart as everybody else in your class. I was there. What happens though, when you start to really pay attention, instead of focus on not being the smartest one in your class, you start to focus on the fact that you're not smart as everyone in every situation, but they're not as smart as you in every situation either. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if there's ever like the smartest one in the room. You might be smart when it comes to this, but are you just as smart when it comes to that or that or that or that? Maybe not. So you being humiliated in class could become one of the times you felt like this was the worst, the most embarrassing moment of my life. But when you start to look at it and say, wow, what am I really a genius in? Like, what's my genius level, right? I believe everybody is a genius. Everybody's a genius, just not in the same place. We're all not a genius in the same place, right? But everybody is a genius. My question to you is, are you willing to identify the worst moment in your life so that you can identify where you're a genius at? Because what if your genius level was just being able to get out of and push through any situation, but then you was able to teach that to other students around you? So they might be smarter in math or smarter in English, but you're smarter in being persistent, right? You're better at being persistent. You're better at not giving up on yourself. Your belief system is stronger than their belief system. They're just smart because they study it all the time. So because they study something all the time and they can pick it up and it's easy to them, cool. But the stuff that's not easy to them, they avoid. But the stuff that is not easy to you, you don't avoid, you push through it and you figure it out. Are they smarter because they know a little more? Who got the advantage? Where's the real advantage? Okay, so like, listen, and I promise you, man, I done been in English classes. This is why I'm saying this, right? I done been in class in English, and I don't think I ever got like anything higher than a D in English, okay? I'm being honest with you. I don't think I ever got anything higher than a D. I said to the teacher, listen, how do I get a D on everything I do for the book report? She was like, just write the outline, Pierre. You got a D. Cool, I did outlines. I got the D, right? I don't believe that me getting that D made everyone in the class that got A's smarter than me. I don't. I did at the time, but as life went on, I don't. Why? Because I see the people that talk very intelligently. I see the people that got all the A's, and I look at them now, and I'm like, wow, when you ran up against this little challenge, you fell off? Like that little thing right there stopped you from moving forward? Me, I'm looking at it like, I'm going to figure this out. And even though I get through it, and I get through it with the D, right? I keep going. But now I look at it and I say, okay, I got the D. But where did I fall off? Like what came up short? And then I can go back and I can make corrections. I go from the D to the C. This is how I'm looking at my life. See, I'm not caught up on the grade. I'm looking at, can I stay consistent in moving forward? And it all happens because I'm not focused on every day being the worst moment of my life. I'm picking one moment to be the worst moment of my life. So I want you to go. I want you to identify right now. You're going to have a whole list. I want you to write down every time you said the worst moment. This is the worst moment of my life. I don't know what I'm going to do. I want you to write that down, right? What was it? You're going to come up with 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to be on like 10 in no time. Like that was, right? You came in the house, you was emotional. I want you to write that down. Worst moment of my life, worst moment of my life. And then I want you to pick one. What was the one? One worst moment of your life. And when you identify it and you say, I will never have a worse moment than this, you would notice your life starts to change. You would notice you start staying more focused on what you're doing because you don't become a victim to yourself. See, if you become a victim to yourself, how do you move forward? As you go through high school this year, I want you to stay so focused on becoming the best you ever. Today don't make you. Today don't make you. But what you do over a period of time develops you, right? So if you're a victim to yourself, over a period of time, you just become a victim to yourself. But if you stop being a victim to yourself, you won't be a victim to anything. I hope you get that. And listen, I'm saying this to you as a high school dropout that got a GED at 35 years old. And at the time, I could barely read, I could barely write, right? And still with words today, I struggle when it comes to spelling. That I'm talking into my phone the other day, and the phone don't know what I'm talking about. My accent was messed up. I'm trying to spell the word, spell check don't pick it up. I tried to talk it into the phone, and the phone still ain't picking it up. And I said this in front of a room full of adults. Yo, watch this. Because I understand that humility comes before honor, right? I said that in a room full of adults, and do you know how many people said, oh my God, I know just what you mean. I was trying to spell something and spell check couldn't pick it up either. I don't care what you're doing in your life, understand you're not alone. Whatever you're going through, there's a group of people going through it too. But instead of me understanding that in high school, I wanted to be the class clown because I didn't want the teacher to call on me. I want the teacher to know every time I call on Pierre, he's going to be disruptive. So I'm not calling on him no more. So what I did is I became a victim of myself, okay? So I want you to identify today. What is the worst time ever for you? And I want you to think about how you got past it. And I want you to take that energy, I want you to take that concept, and I want you to continue to move past the times you considered to be the worst times ever. Okay? I hope you get that. I hope you get it because it's important. It's important for you to understand that, yo, you're phenomenal. It's important for you to understand that the challenges that are in front of you, which you consider to be the worst times ever, are not there to destroy you. They are there to build you. If you never go through something, how do you get something, right? If you never go through something, how do you get what you want? If you never go through trial and error, how do you get to what you're looking for? You can't. The things in front of you are the things that when you face a challenge, it's working out your mental strength, your mental stamina, right? It's challenging you in a way to build you for what is to come. You play a video game right now. You can't just open up a video game. You can't just get on the video game, right? And get every tool that you need. You got to what? You got to go through processes. You got to go through different boards, different levels, different tasks, right? And when it's time to go through a task, if you don't get this tool that you need, you can't go to the next task. You can't go to the next level of the game. You got to go through this level, and you got to get certain tools to get to the next level, right? That's life. So when you feel humiliated in school because you don't know something, When you feel let down by a teacher, you feel let down by your parents, by your peers. It's only the challenge to see like, yo, are you going to step up to do the things that need to be done so you can get the tool you need so you can go to that next level. See, you look at it more as a personal defeat because it's another hard time in your life. But I only have one hard time, and that's when I watch my cousin be stretched out. That was my one hard time. And no matter what I face, I will overcome. Not only will I overcome, but I will learn. Not only will I learn, but I will execute different. I will not be a victim to anything or to anyone, including myself. I hope you get that. You have the opportunity right now to make the changes that need to be made so that you can live the way that you want to live after high school. See, if I knew what I knew now, I would waste no time in high school. You know how you ever heard the saying, hindsight is 20/20? If I only knew then what I know now, I would have. I'm giving you what I would have because I already went through the other part of it, right? And now that I know what's on the other side, I would have never wasted the time in high school. I would have never wasted the time. I would have showed up and I would have showed out every single day. I would have showed up and I would have showed out, okay? I hope that helped you, all right? I hope that helped you. I'll see y'all on the next one.